Good evening to you all. Warm welcome to ETV News. I'm Grum Tariku. Prime Minister Abiy said scholars must play critical roles for Ethiopia's sovereignty and lasting peace. In the efforts to ensure the sustainable development and prosperity of Ethiopia, a strong participation and professional contribution of scholars was declared to be critical. A national forum of intellectuals is being held here in Addis Ababa with the theme, the role of intellectuals for Ethiopia's greatness. Johannes Fantown has the following account.
Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed said that scholars should understand Ethiopia's current situation and play an important role for its sovereignty and lasting peace. According to the Prime Minister, the government and intellectuals should work together for one country so that we can build a society where knowledge and intellectuals are respected. The Prime Minister urged the scholars of different institutions and universities of Ethiopia to play their part for the prosperity of their country.
Financial technology, human capital, social capital, real estate. Man no Ethiopia welcome yet both California yet.
The aspects of prosperity are financial technology, human capital, social capital, and real estate. The scholars are the one expected to find the locations of Ethiopia's natural resources. Our government envisions that Ethiopia's scholars can teach and write about how to extract natural resources and find solutions to many problems. That is why we say we can make a use of the scholars. The scholars are not rollers. Asking and discussing about why scholars are not identifying their role and play accordingly should be your part.
A number of university scholars and research institutes, including Minister of Education Professor Bahanu Nagga, participated in the discussion forum jointly organized by Kotave University of Education and Addis Ababa University of Science and Technology. President of Kotave Education University, Dr. Brahana Maskaltana, in his message at the forum said that scholars have an irreplaceable role in the effort to realize Ethiopia's development and prosperity. He asked scholars to focus on common values for the development and progress of the country.
ተልኳችን ልዩ ልዩ ቢሆንም ሲደመር ግን
Our goal, despite the variety of our missions, is to develop Ethiopia and bring about its prosperity. This can only occur if we scholars, rather than being divided, concentrate on our values and carry out our civic duty by concentrating on finding solutions to our issues in order to promote nation building, peace and stability for our people. When we closely coordinate, talk about, stand together and prioritize the needs of the nation, we can make this a reality.
ተሰናስነን በአንድነት ስንቆም ከምንም በላይ የአገር ጥቅም ስናስቀድም ነው.
According to the Addis Ababa University African and Asian Research Center researcher Samuel Tafara, in addition to teaching, higher education institutions should solve local, national and regional problems through their research workers.
ችግር ውስጥም ቢሆንም እንኳን መፍትሄ ለማግኘት ማሰላሰላቸውን ፈጽሞ ማቆም የለባቸውም ብዬ አስባለሁ.
Even if they are having difficulties, I believe academics should keep looking for answers. In my perspective, the challenges that scholars must overcome in order to accomplish their objectives are insurmountable, and they will keep fighting until they discover a solution, since we are talking about the nation and the people. In that light, I view myself. I often ponder how the younger generation will be able to sustain in an inclusive world.
አላስብም እኔም እንደምሳሌ ራሴን ማቀርበው እንደዛ ነው.
In the forum it was stated that it should be the scholars' first priority to put the country first and ensure that they play the role that is expected from them.
Senior diplomats from the Ethiopian Ministry of Foreign Affairs have expressed determination to defending Ethiopia's interest through diplomacy. They indicated new diplomacy is essential to fostering an enabling environment and pivotal to Ethiopia's prosperity, besides ensuring the strength of Pan-Africanism to foster regional integration. They also noted that Ethiopia's modern diplomatic strategy needs to be tailored around the realities of the 21st century. Kasaunchane reports.
Since 2018, Ethiopia started a nationwide range of reforms concerning the diplomatic engagement that has been under massive processes. The diplomat said, noting Ethiopia's modern diplomatic approach must be geared toward the existing reality across the globe.
The new Ethiopian diplomacy, in my opinion, would have a very primary mission of contributing for the creation of an enabling international environment where African voices would be heard and respected, where the interest of Africa would be promoted. In this regard, we would be working with our African brothers and sisters with a spirit of reinvigorated Pan-Africanism.
This is a 21st century diplomacy, and it is, the traditional diplomacy that we have been living with is changing, and to maintain, protect, enhance and promote our national interests, we need to be equipped with the necessary skills. And His Excellency Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed Ali has given the direction to our ministry, and also following that our diplomats, we are really undergoing massive training, and that's important. It's a two-way process. It's a two-way interaction, it's a two-way learning process. We are from different corners of the world and from headquarters as well. So we exchange ideas, that's what we are doing. So the new diplomacy that Ethiopia needs now really is to bring prosperity. Diplomats have really a big role in this regard, to attract foreign direct investment, to promote tourism, and to mobilize the diaspora as well. So we need to know where our country is. It is just like implementing a grand strategy of a country. We need to look back where we were, we need to assess where we are, and we need to chart out where we are going. That's what we are doing, and that's the new diplomacy.
The senior diplomats of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ethiopia, in an exclusive interview with EBS English, focused on how to protect the interests of Ethiopia, stating a new diplomacy is critical to creating an enabling environment and pivotal to Ethiopia's prosperity. They also underscored the new diplomacy is essential to ensuring the Pan-Africanism strength, to respect the national interest and promote regional integration.
Our region is also very volatile, facing a number of challenges related to political, economic, social and climate crisis. In this regard, once again, creating a prosperous and peaceful Ethiopia would require us to be mindful of our neighborhood and to act based on our national interest to promote regional cooperation, partnership and integration.
And because of the impact of our neighbors on our democracy, on our prosperity and development, on our peace and security, we need to know what's going on around the region. So we are very close to the Red Sea, and at the same time we are a big country in the Horn of Africa, which is a very strategic location. So how to accommodate our interests with the interests of others, and how to maintain peace and security in the region is the focus. And we also look into the global trends. We can see that there is a shift in what we call is a hegemonic shift. Despite that is kind of slow, but surely we can see a kind of movement. The world, since the COVID-19 and with what's going on in Eastern Europe, we can feel there's something which is happening. And multilateralism, it has been tested due to different reasons, and we have been a victim as well of the manipulations of some countries of multilateral forums, like using human rights issues against us, irrespective of the factors we have and the actions that we are undertaking and the measures that we are undertaking. So this is really a tipping point in the history of world politics and in the history of our country as well, and in the history of the continent.
Ethiopians anticipate a new era in a country's diplomacy, highlighting the significance of reflection on the highs and lows Ethiopia's diplomacy has experienced from the beginning of the change the government has been implementing for the past 4 years. As per the diplomats, it was known that a delegation of Ethiopian diplomats from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs had assembled at the Africa Leadership Excellence Academy in Sululta for a 3-week training program designed to outline the goals, scope and areas of Ethiopian diplomacy.
In another development, some 1,167 Ethiopians in Saudi Arabia returned home today. The returnees have been brought to makeshifts arranged in various subsidiaries of Addis Ababa, Ministry of Women and Social Affairs stated. Coordinated efforts are underway for reunion of the returnees with their families and reinstate them in a sustainable manner. Since mid-November, Ethiopia has repatriated close to 8,000 citizens from Saudi Arabia, it is indicated. It is to be recalled that National Task Force has been established to oversee safe return of undocumented citizens from Saudi Arabia. The African Union can play more mediation roles for other African nations as it succeeded in Ethiopia's case, which can be taken as best inspiration. Anthropologist, historian and researcher at Leiden University, Professor Jan Abikon told ETV that the best way forward after the reached Pretoria Agreement is to build and reconstruct relationships. Dr. Sarnesa has compiled the following report.
While talking to ETV, anthropologist, historian and researcher at Leiden University, Professor Jan Abing underscored that following the peace agreement reached in Pretoria, South Africa, major positive developments are being witnessed. He went on saying that the agreement is such a positive stride to build on.
It's an agreement which we can build on and which is now really relatively okay in its progress. We have also seen, since the 2 November agreement, we have seen the declaration of the senior commanders of 12 November. And we have also seen yesterday that the first meeting between the two leaders of the two parties, the federal government and the Tigray Combatant Force, as they are now called, was held in Shire, in Tigray. So it seems to slowly just to make progress, and that is, you know, that's good to see. It's a positive development.
The scholar further reiterated that the achieved progress of the agreement starts with the disarmament and also coming to no more war terms, and the third concrete result, he says, is reconciliation of the warring region. He also urged that the best way forward is to build and reconstruct relationships.
And what I see from, you know, from the images, the video clips and the interviews made in Tigray, there is a huge sense of relief among the broader Tigrayan population. I think one of the major decisive elements which has led to this agreement is that the Tigrayan people in general were so terribly tired of this war and of this suffering and of this having to deliver soldiers to the forces. This has been one of the decisive factors undermining the battle successes, or the battle holding out on the battlefield. And that is, of course, you know, a sign of a broader desire, I think, to want to reconnect with the rest of Ethiopia as it should be. And that's good. That's positive. I think that's really, we should not underestimate this. The best way forward is to build bridges and to reconstruct relationships, and to reflect on the harm done, and to, wherever possible, to recover and to address the outstanding issues. And I think that's going to be done in the future, in the near future.
The professor underlined that African Union can play the same mediator role in other African nations, for Ethiopia's case can be taken as best inspiration.
But they could play a similar, more assertive role in those other conflicts in Africa. I think African Union, you know, it has been often criticized, and rightly so, but here they have done a major coup, a major achievement, and they have taken the initiative away from these eternal interferences of the USA and the EU, which had not led to any real positive results in this case. So this could be an inspiration for other conflicts on the continent, no doubt about it. They should be more assertive. They should claim a mediatory role in the DRC, in Mozambique and other places, because they can deliver, certainly. So that is, in that way, it is, and the fact that both the federal government and the TPLF combatants have been agreeing to that mediation role of the AU is also a good sign and should be followed elsewhere on the continent, I think.
The scholar further reiterated that the peace agreement has contributed towards cooling down the tension in the Horn region.
Oxford University scholars said the peace deal signed between the federal government and TPLF creates an opportunity to invest in Ethiopia. The international community is urged to carry out extensive activities to support Ethiopia's economy. Goshumel Sow tells us more on this.
Earlier this month, the federal government of Ethiopia and the TPLF have agreed in Pretoria to end the 2-year catastrophic war that ransacked and claimed the lives of millions of people. The peace deal is said an immensely important step to peace and recovery of the nation. Stefan Durkan is professor of economic policy at Blandvatic School of Government and director of the Center for the Study of African Economies at University of Oxford, and Christian Mayer is director of the Oxford Martin Program on the Future Development at the University of Oxford. The aforementioned scholars told to the Context website that the peace deal signed between the federal government and TPLF creates an opportunity to invest in Ethiopia. Economic incentives for peace must be spread by the international community to support the long-term peace building in Ethiopia, the scholars noted. The international community, particularly Brussels and Washington, must step up to support the ceasefire agreement by ensuring a large economic upside to peace without meddling in the fragile process that will shape the future of Ethiopia in the broader region, they said. Current growth forecasts by the IMF imply much lower annual growth premium relative to the other comparable African countries of only 1.5%. Scholars argue that this is linked to the direct and especially indirect costs of the conflict, such as the inability to access international public and private resources to support speedy macroeconomic stabilization, economic reform, renewed public investments for growth, and acceleration of FDI. Without sustained peace and positive responses from international partners, it is unlikely that an improvement is possible on the IMF forecasters. The article read that $20 billion is required to reconstruct public infrastructure and private property in Tigray, Amhara, and Afar regions. The return of international economic support for peace-building efforts will be indispensable to avoid the vast economic losses and protect livelihoods. Ethiopia is the second most populated nation of the continent. In 2018, it reached the fastest growth rate in sub-Saharan Africa and is an anchor economy in the Horn of Africa.
እርምጃሽን ተከትዬ ከፍዝቁል ልችልልሽ ዝማሜሽን የሚያቀና ያሰብኩትን ልሰፍርልሽ ውለታሽን ልመልስል የምሰጠው አጣውልሽ ሀገሬ ሆይ አበድሪኝ ሀገር ስሆን የምከፍልሽ እርምጃሽን ተከትዬ ከፍዝቁል ልችልልሽ ዝማሜሽን የሚያቀና ያሰብኩትን ልሰፍርልሽ ውለታሽን ልመልስል የምሰጠው አጣውልሽ ሀገሬ ሆይ አበድሪኝ ሀገር ስሆን የምከፍልሽ
Welcome back, and you are watching ETV News. Strengthening solidarity and unity is said to be crucial while observing the 17th Nations Nationalities and Peoples Day. Preparations are well underway to observe the Nations Nationalities and Peoples Day in Hawassa town, state of Sidama. Habtamu Ashagri has more on this.
Ethiopia is a land of origin with various culture, identity, as well as vast experience. The nation's Nationalities and Peoples Day has been observed over the past 17 years. The 1995 Constitution clearly declares observing the Nation's Day is vital to share heterogeneous cultural diversity among Ethiopians. It was learned. Addis Ababa has been inviting all representatives and hosted the First Nations, Nationalities and Peoples Day on December 8, 2006. Hereafter, the nation's Nationalities and Peoples Day has been observed by different regions over the past 16 years. Talking to ETV, Speaker of House of Federation Secretariat Head Zaleka Temasgen said, observing the Nation's Day is critical.
Ethiopia is the owner of heterogeneous culture. Observing the nation's nationalities and peoples day is expanding vast experience among nations and nationalities. It is also important to promote colorful Ethiopia to the rest of the world. We are also working to create awareness about our constitution too.
While observing the Nation's Day over the past 16 years, according to Zaleka, further activities are needed to embolden the Nation's Day.
We are focusing on hammering our differences rather than in capitalizing the unity among Ethiopians. This costs us a lot. When we see our Constitution Article 88 sub-Article 2, the government has a mandate to strengthen relations among nations, nationalities and peoples of Ethiopia. Unfortunately, we have been investing on our differences over the past couple of years. So, we are working hard to regain the good pictures of Ethiopia.
Based on the House of Federation has held research before the 17th Nations, Nationalities and Peoples Day, most Ethiopians need to observe the Nation's Day.
Based on the research findings, we have seen that most of Ethiopians are desirous to observe the nation's Nationalities and Peoples Day. We have also received questions in this regard too. They need to maximize the nation's Nationalities and Peoples Day as national holiday.
Ethiopia has earned $526 million from coffee export in the last 4 months. Director General of Ethiopian Coffee and Tea Authority, ECTA, is deliberating with experts from various coffee-producing countries, including Colombia and Spain, here in Addis Ababa. ECTA set goal to earn $2 billion from coffee export by the end of the ongoing fiscal year. The authority has set goals to earn $2 billion through export of 810,000 tons of coffee by the end of the current fiscal year.